Howdy, I'm the Red, White, and Blue Jew, aka Jake Donnelly, and I'm here to talk about the most fascinating subject ever, language.
Boring.
That's because I fight against anti-Semitism and anti-Israel bias, and so much of what people get wrong comes down to language itself. Now, Jordan Peterson rose to prominence when Canada wanted to institute Bill C-16, and he had two major points when discussing the issue. Point number one, nowhere in English common law has any government ever compelled speech. That's just not something that happens.
To compel the contents of speech is a whole new thing. It's never been done before in the history of British common law, English common law.
But point number two was the most important one. His entire thesis was that if you want people to come to an understanding, not agreement, but an understanding, we must protect language.
It's about language that's designed to control our freedom.
Now, unfortunately for me, I live in Massachusetts, and we have a senator by the name of Senator Elizabeth Warren. Now, Senator Warren is about as pleasant as drinking milk after it was left outside in July for about a week. Oh.
Gross.
She made me throw up my lunch last week because she decided to say that Israel is committing a genocide. No, it's not. Genocide has an actual definition. That is the attempt or actually execution of murdering an entire group of people, wiping them out. What's happening right now in Gaza is nowhere near a genocide. But because people like Senator Warren love to obfuscate and conflate and confuse people about the actual definitions of words, she's hoping that you're too ignorant to know any better. Now, unfortunately for me, I'm old enough to have been alive during the worst attack on language in maybe English history. And that was when the literal definition of literal was turned into its literal polar opposite, that being figurative. People would say, I am literally about to die of starvation because they missed dinner. No, that is being hyperbolic. You are being figurative, or you are being metaphorical. But the thing that you are not being is literal. And when that happened, it almost broke my fucking brain. Because I could see how this would happen down the road. If you can change the literal definition to its polar opposite being figurative, then you can do anything you want to the English language. And so what's happening right now is the end result of all of that. Genocide is happening in Gaza. No, it's fucking not. What's happening in Gaza right now is what's known as a war. And because Americans are too ahistorically ignorant and they don't understand or don't have the stomach any longer for what war actually is, people like Senator Warren bank on the idea that they can say whatever the fuck they want using words that have no connection whatsoever to their actual definitions, and in that way, they can put Jews and especially Israel under their fucking boot and just keep on stomping. But people like me know better. I'm not dumb enough to allow you to get away with your bullshit using words like genocide, which is such a fucking offense to Jews and to everybody else who has had the misfortune of suffering an actual genocide. It's like when people call Israel guilty of apartheid. Go fuck yourself. You're besmirching the legacy of Nelson Mandela and every single person in South Africa who actually suffered under apartheid.
I had the great honor of being arrested with our UN ambassador.
But Senator Warren, who is about as sharp as a fucking tennis ball since entering politics, she wants you to believe what's happening right now in Gaza is a genocide. Well, here's some quick fucking numbers. Remember that 30,000 plus number that you heard over and over and over again? And that was because it was from the Gazan Ministry of Health, which was run by Hamas. That number has now been changed to 22,000. And if you take the most liberal number from the IDF, where they have killed just 9,000 Hamas terrorists, that means 9,000 Hamas terrorists into that number 22,000. So that's 13,000 versus 9,000. That's almost a 1-to-1 ratio. That is not a fucking genocide. That is war. Like war in World War II, where the Allies took care of the Nazis. But even more so, because we're talking about the death cult that is Hamas, The United States military wiped out the entire Japanese imperial idea of Bushido. That death cult, which had kamikazes and comfort women and the rape of Nanking and the Bataan Death March and Unit 731 and Dr. Ishii. Everybody talks about how you can't get rid of an ideology. When's the last fucking time you heard of a kamikaze attack from Japan? More than 75 years ago, because you know what you can do? You can wipe out an ideology. And those people right now in Gaza who support to this very fucking moment Hamas and support what happened on October 7th, those people, the innocent Palestinians who I've seen tons of the uncensored footage, so I know exactly how many of those people participated. Yes, you can root out an ideology. And you know how you do that? Through war. What's happening right now is not a genocide, at least if you know the fucking definition of the word genocide. And that's why language is so important. Because if we want peace, if we want wars to stop, then we have to have an understanding when we talk about things. And when you use words like apartheid and genocide, they have actual fucking definitions. And all you're doing is banking on the idea that your audience is too fucking ignorant to know any better. So that's why I'm here, because I am many, many things. Ignorant is not one of them, especially when it comes to the English language. So every time that you hear genocide, turn to that person and say, fuck you.
The United States of America is based on fuck you. You're a king. You have an army, greatest navy in the history of the world. Fuck you, blow me.
Yes, go fuck yourself, because you're besmirching the legacy of those who actually suffered genocide. And how dare you do that? Shame on you for that. And so, Senator Warren, shame on you.